Yeah.
And I'm starting to kind of come back to myself.
Yeah.
And realize, how do I say this? Well, I mean, I realize more, I kind of come back into sync with the original, with the original vision, which always is, you know, it's always kind of like going out and getting, kind of stretching out as far as I can and then coming back in. But it's, you know, it's getting people to imagine something beyond their imagination. And no wonder everybody got kind of unruly and scared and, you know, and kind of wild when they first sat down and tried to do it. And I had this very interesting experience yesterday, which helped me understand it, was that this very interesting man called Stanley Strauss, who's the children's librarian at Cerritos Library, came to lunch. And he was part of a project, there were 5 librarians that designed the Cerritos Library, Cerritos Library. And they have ended up designing something that has won prizes all over the world, all over America. It describes a kind of architecture called experience architecture. And when you go inside the building, your normative definitions of yourself that are unconsciously formed by both the space we normally operate in and its organization. When you go and walk into that library, you all of a sudden kind of ontologically have this feeling that yourself is much looser and freer and larger and, you know, more open to the unexpected. And it's because of the way they designed the space. Mm-hmm. And when he talked about what it was that they did and how they did it, he described a process where they were willing to always go, to know that they didn't know what they wanted, and to just keep on trying, and just keep on saying, well, I know I don't know, but I know it has a little bit of this, and I know it has a little bit of that. And that, combined with a focus on what they called the patron, or the end user, allowed them to design something that is hugely hopeful and interesting. Yeah. And I realized, let me see, I'm going to even put some notes on it. He said, yeah, we were so naive that we didn't understand we couldn't do this. And, let's see. Yeah, and they did a lot of you know, there were no bad ideas. There were absolutely no bad ideas. And I think that also was a really important part of this. Let's see, where do I want to go here? I want to maybe go up. I want to go here. Go up. Well, you know, hearing Stanley reconnected me with the whole idea that I kept talking about over and over and over again before this, which was of going outside our conceptual architecture in getting people to imagine a future. And so that, combined with these really wonderful interviews that we've been doing, when we're actually able to hear what makes people comfortable and what makes them uncomfortable and how they're going to be able to do this thing, is just really valuable and really interesting. Huh? Why do you have that big smile on your face? I don't know. So I feel like we're we're mining, kind of, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We're mining, we're mining, we're ontological miners, huh? Just kind of keeping our lens right way open. And I found this little thing I'd written by the bed maybe a couple of weeks ago, which is that Far in the Library is it's a lens to see what we couldn't see in other ways. You know, it's like the eye of the fly. It's all these, you know how the fly's eye is?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, and then also I was reading about Gregory Bateson. And Gregory Bateson was this really fascinating theorist, pioneer, writer, thinker, who helped create the whole idea of cybernetics in the 50s and 60s with Norman Wiener, and you know, is a cognitive scientist and an anthropologist. And he too was always going outside of, he was seeing something bigger, you know, and so part of his struggle was to be able to speak to that, and he alienated a lot of people in trying to do that. And somehow hearing that, it was a very good thing for me to hear, because I realized that you know, when people get uncomfortable with this process, that's okay. You know, it's not that I'm a bad person with bad ideas. It's just that I'm trying to get people to do something that is, by its very definition, it's outside our shell. So that's what I'm starting to get kind of clear on, which I wasn't a couple of days ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
And but so much of it has come forward also because of your questions and the things that we've talked about in the car.
No, it's always where it happens, isn't it? Afterwards, and then you really say what was building up.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Well, not only that, but you ask these really wonderful questions, and you do the same thing in your process. You do the very same thing. You may call it a different way, but I feel like there's a, you know, that we're kind of we're both these sort of weird snails with
snails.
Well, maybe it's not a snail. I don't know. It's like
I'm just joking.
It's something that has lots of antennae, so maybe it's not snails. And it forms, you know, things in this very organic. I don't know. I just feel like there's a harmony in our processes.
Yeah, it feels real easy, and it's almost like we don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, and it's really valuable because I don't feel that kind of harmonic. I do feel that harmonic with other people, but not in this particular way that you and I seem to share.
Yeah.
And it's really wonderful. I'm really grateful.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time.